We haven't done one of these in a while, but thought it was about time we shared some real experiences sent in by our incredible viewers. We love doing these because whether you believe them or not, they are actual events that happened without trickery. They are all usually 100% authentic and you won't see them anywhere else. Whether they show anything sinister or paranormal, well, that is up to you to decide. Now before we begin, we'd like to say a huge thank you to this week's sponsor, HelloFresh. Producing content here at Top 5s is without doubt an incredibly rewarding experience. However, like most creative endeavours, it does require a jam-packed schedule and fast-paced lifestyle as a result. We receive a lot of questions from viewers and fans alike, wondering how we are able to balance everyday tasks with our production schedule, and to be honest, it's not the easiest thing to do. That being said, it's not impossible. And with HelloFresh, we've actually discovered one of the best ways to make that fast-paced lifestyle a bit easier to manage. HelloFresh is the industry's top meal kit service, making meal planning and cooking both easy and entertaining. For just a simple subscription, receive unique seasonal recipes and already prepped ingredients in a box delivered right to your front door, no shopping required. The meals selected via HelloFresh are unbelievably delicious, full of 5-star recipes cultivated to fit any special diet, such as pescatarian or low-cal, and are now made with food sourced directly from farmers. HelloFresh also focuses on sustainability, something very important here at Top 5s. If there's a cause worth fighting for, it's preserving planet Earth and all of its mysteries, and HelloFresh does their part by creating less food waste with exact measurements, delivering boxes in recycled packaging, and lowering the carbon footprint of grocery shopping by 25%. The best part is, HelloFresh saves you so much time and stress. Meal prep and cooking times are designed to get food on the table in just 30 minutes, or even less with their quick and easy program. Average trips to the grocery store take 41 minutes, and if you take multiple trips a week, the hours start clocking up. Imagine the free time HelloFresh can give you to start that anticipated project, or find a new hobby. The possibilities are endless, not to mention the 28% of savings you keep in your wallet with HelloFresh's competitive pricing. So go to hellofresh.com and use code TOP5s12 to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. We cannot say enough how helpful HelloFresh has been in helping us balance our personal lives with work life, allowing us to create even better and more brilliant videos just for you. So stop waiting, sign up today, and discover that balance for yourself. And now it's time to hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. Fort Nelson Apparition. This first creepy image was sent in by Keith. It was taken in 2008 by his partner who had visited Fort Nelson underground tunnels in Portsmouth, UK. Just to give a bit of history about the tunnels, they lay beneath Fort Nelson, one of 5 defensive fortifications built on Portsdown Hill in the mid-19th century, at a time when Britain was still concerned about a potential French invasion. The fort looks over Portsmouth Naval Base and Dockyard. The fort was once manned by over 200 garrison volunteers, along with regular army officers, and although it was never used for its original purpose, it did play an important role in both the First and Second World Wars, as barracks for troops waiting to be deployed to the front line in the First World War, and as an anti-aircraft ammunition supply depot during the Second World War. Nevertheless, after the wars, the building was abandoned in the 1950s. Today, Fort Nelson acts as a museum that is home to the Royal Armoury's national collection of artillery and historic cannons, and it receives thousands of visitors each year. But perhaps the eeriest part of the site is the underground tunnels that lie beneath the fort that have long been reputed to be haunted, and the spooky dark maze that previously stored ammunition is now a paranormal hotspot. Some of the spirits that allegedly haunt the area are a whistling sergeant major who can be heard patrolling the grounds, a little drummer boy, and a large 7-foot-tall male spirit who has been seen walking around with a lantern. Another spooky tale involves a female prostitute who came to the fort to visit male soldiers, who met her death at the hands of a soldier, and whose spirit has lingered ever since. So when Keith's partner explored the tunnels with her mother back in 2018, they were prepared for the unexpected, but were shocked at what they saw when they looked back over the photos they had taken that day, and realised they were not alone in the tunnel, as they had first thought. Take a look. Now it could just be another visitor, although there were only 3 people down in the tunnels that day, so unless another one sneaked in unseen, the figure at the end of the tunnel is a mystery. What we can tell you is that the image is 100% genuine, so could that be the apparition of one of the many ghosts that reportedly haunt the tunnels? Or is there another explanation? What do you think? Lights playing tricks. Ryan and his family have experienced several weird experiences over the years, and we thought we would share a couple of them to see if any of you can relate to them. At Ryan's childhood home, his parents had a huge cupboard that came in 2 pieces. The upper half was a glass display cabinet with a light that turned on and off with a touch button. The cupboard stayed in the home without incident for 11 years, during which time Ryan's mother was diagnosed with cancer. While she was going through treatment, Ryan's grandparents spent weeks living with them to take care of the family and help their daughter out, even though they lived 5 hours away. The whole family became closer as a result, and thankfully Ryan's mother made a full recovery. However, sadly 2 years later, Ryan's grandmother passed away, but his grandfather continued to visit. That is when things got a little weird. Every time Ryan's grandfather was in the house, the light from the cupboard turned on by itself. His family became convinced it was their grandmother making her presence felt every time her husband visited. And in a way, it was comforting for them. What made it even stranger was the light would come on even when it wasn't plugged in, and this has continued randomly ever since. A similar thing happened to Ryan's dad, who Ryan points out is a bit skeptical about a lot of paranormal stories. However, on this occasion he was completely freaked out. Ryan's dad was visiting him at school in California, where Ryan was playing basketball. He checked into the DoubleTree Hotel in Norwalk, California during his visit, a hotel that as far as we can tell has no paranormal history. On the last night, Ryan's dad was asleep in his room when he woke up in the middle of the night and realised that he'd left the light on near the door, so he got up and turned it off and went back to sleep. He woke up an hour later and the light was switched back on. He was sure that he had turned it off, but he got back up again and turned it off. But as soon as he got back into bed and turned away from the door, the light switched back on. Thinking there was a fault with the light or the switch, he got out of bed again and checked over the fitting, but all seemed fine. He got back into bed, rolled over, and the light switched on again. By now he was getting slightly nervous. It was the middle of the night, and this light seemed to have it in for him. Again he switched the light off, but this time when he got back into the bed, he stared at the light switch to see what happened. He did this for over an hour, but as soon as he turned away to try and get some sleep, the light switched back on. He then got the feeling something was in the room, and got so spooked out that he packed up his things and left at 4 AM in the morning. He later told Ryan the light turning on wasn't the biggest issue. It was the fact that the switch kept flipping on its own, despite him switching it off numerous times. What do you think? Unexplained ball of light. This next bit of footage was sent in by one of our patrons, Courtney, who lives with her boyfriend Dan in Spokane, Washington. It was late at night and Dan was fast asleep, but Courtney was awake and thought she could hear someone talking outside as well as distant footprints, so she got out of bed to check if it was her neighbour coming home. Courtney looked out of her bedroom window that was in the basement into the front yard but could see nothing, but when she checked the backyard she saw this and videoed it on her phone. Take a look. Now, when we first looked at it, we thought it was an outside light, but Courtney confirmed there is no outside light in the backyard, only motion sensor lights that had come on in the background, so there was no explanation for the bright ball of light outside the dining room. Slightly freaked out by the light, Courtney and Dan tried to recreate it another night to see if it was a light being shone from outside or inside. However, they found it impossible to recreate anything resembling the ball of light Courtney videoed. This is a recent occurrence, and the couple still don't know if someone was shining a light into their home from outside, or whether there was an intruder inside their house that night. Now, we aren't saying this is anything sinister, but we do not know what could have caused such a bright ball of light. If any of you have any ideas, I know Courtney and Dan would be very grateful, and if there is an innocent explanation, they will probably rest easier in their beds tonight. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Step Back in Time. This story, we feel a lot of people can relate to. It was sent in by Martin from Auckland, New Zealand. Back in early 2014, Martin attended his great-uncle's funeral at Manaku Memorial Gardens. After the service, the family gathered for the wake in a building next door. It was a very hot day, so Martin stepped outside to get some fresh air, when something extraordinary happened. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw himself as a young boy running past him into the car park and up towards the graveyard. Martin decided to follow the boy, but as soon as he did, he heard the voice of his grandfather, but when he looked around there was no one there. Martin continued to follow the boy, who led him to the gravesite of his great-grandparents. As Martin stood and looked at the headstone, he felt something pull at his leg so hard that he fell to the ground. Slightly shaken up, he got up and looked around, but the boy had disappeared, and he found himself alone in the graveyard. After he told his family about what had happened, his grandfather spoke up and said he had a similar experience when his mother, Martin's great-grandmother, passed away, but instead of seeing himself as a young boy, he saw his father, who had passed away 6 years earlier. We know lots of viewers have had experiences very similar to this after a relative has passed, and we'd love to hear about them in the comments. Or send us a personal email at mystory@top5s.co.uk. Creepy Polaroid. This first photograph was sent in by Gage. It was taken by his grandmother Rose many years ago, before there was any technology to alter images. When Rose was young, her family took her on a trip to Germany to visit her grandmother, and whilst there, they did some sightseeing at some of the many castles in Germany. Rose had a Polaroid camera and took several photographs that day, but the one that stood out was the one taken in the trophy room of one of the castles. Take a look. Now that really looks like feet, possibly a face, hand and Rose. What it is we have no idea, but Gage believes it's one of the best ghost photos he's ever seen. It's a shame Rose doesn't remember the name of the castle so we could research its history. If any of you recognise that room, we'd love to know where it was so we can look further into it. But what do you think that is in the photo? So that's it for this video. We'd like to say a huge thank you to the subscribers who send in their videos, images and experiences. If anyone else has anything for us, then feel free to send it to mystory@top5s.co.uk. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.